All right, guys. So again, my name is Matt. I work at Pioneer, own Pioneer. Been doing weightlifting belts personally for 14 years. My family's been doing them for 47 years. Um, and this is belt number 2 that I'm going to dissect for you to see if, you know, quality materials, build quality, that kind of thing, just to kind of see what, our competitors are doing in the space, but also to kind of give you guys some insight that you probably won't get from really anybody else. Um, this is a PR lifestyle belt from Larry Williams. A little backstory: we used to do Larry's belts. All of his like viral videos were all done in belts made by us. Before he was with Animal, before he got famous, before he hit any world records, he was a big supporter of ours. So once he got famous, he started his own brand. Obviously, he's got wraps and straps and did belts, and then he came out with this belt somewhat recently, and it kind of caught fire, and with reason. The lever itself kind of changed the game. It's kind of a ratchet slash lever belt all in one. Um, my first instincts, I bought, like I said, I bought this. I bought this used. I didn't want to spend $300+ just to get it in here and tear it apart. So um, yeah, that's why it's a little bit beat up. The lever itself is big, it's bulky, it looks cool, and I think it works as advertised. You can ratchet it as tight as you want, loosen it, and it does come back off well. Um, so it is as advertised. I do have my fears. Would be, as if this was my buckle, I would fear that the the plastic or the rubberized tracking system would wear out over time. Um, I assume whoever's manufacturing these, which is it's got to be China, and I'll tell you that my reasoning for that assumption later. Uh, but these are probably high tread areas, and they've kind of technology wise figured out how to make sure that they don't wear too much. But that would still be a concern of mine. Second concern is one of these. It's a pretty sophisticated buckle. It's got springs in it, small springs, and if anybody knows anything about mechanics, machines, springs don't normally last very very long. So my concern would be longevity there. Another concern would be whether or not one of these, if this were to wear out or one of these springs wear out, if it popped off mid lift. Obviously, we don't want that to happen for anybody. But yeah, so those would be my big ones. I also know that if something were to fail on this belt, there's no way that you would be able to just send a new part. So I think you'd be out $300 to get you a new belt. I'm not saying that that's not what you should do. I'm just saying that that's a probably or a high probability something were to wear out. They wouldn't be able to send you a replacement buckle because of just the way that it's made. You couldn't do it. Um, Going into the way that it's made, this part I've already cut it up. So I've tried this video like 5 times. My microphone kept messing up on my phone or whatever. But this is a rubberized plastic of some sort. So this whole front part is super like flimsy. Excuse me. Um, and then they put these runners on the belt so that it stayed uniform thickness with the rest of the belt. The outside material is some sort of garment or upholstery leather. It's a smooth finish. Obviously, it's wrinkled now because it gets used, and that's just what happens. It's on both sides. There's no branding on it outside of just on the buckle itself, which is cool. I think it's sleek, aesthetically pleasing in my opinion. My biggest fear, and what I assumed was the deal, is that the inside of it is not leather. So the belt itself doesn't feel like leather. It's got a bit of a squish to it. Um, it's going to be super stiff. It's not really going to have any of the properties that people like leather for. Um, Best I can count, it looks like it's got 4 pieces of this gray chrome tan uh, hardy board material. Essentially, what they do to make this is put a bunch of adhesive and a bunch of cheap leather material, ground up cheap leather material, and then they press it and let it dry. That's what makes the big long sheets, and then they cut it into belts uh, or belt size pieces. And you've got four layers of gray leatherish material, and then your two garment leathers on the outsides that round it out. So um, I know these things cost the manufacturer, or not the manufacturer, but the consumer somewhere around $300, depending on if it's on sale or not. I would have bet I would bet a lot of money that the major portion of cost for Larry and his company is in this buckle itself. And I would bet they could probably pick up the entire thing for somewhere around 40 to 60 bucks, um, based off of some questions that I've asked some suppliers and things to be able to do this. But um, so there's obviously a good markup there. It's obviously not made in the United States, or they would have it plastered as advertised. Um, so yeah, buckle itself works as advertised. The belt itself is subpar, which I assumed. Uh, it smells like China. It's not gonna last too long. The leather portion of this, I do fear that the leather portion is not going to either, just based off of mechanics and these little springs that are in there. Just springs just don't last in machines that get used like this. So only time will tell whether or not that is going to be a longevity issue. Um, Maybe in the comments you guys can let us know if you've had one of the first versions. You've had it for maybe a year. You can let me know and tell me I'm wrong, or tell me I'm right. So that's the PR belt. I know people were asking about